All right, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting in the Ethereum world. Um, Blockchain domains, specifically ETH.deal.
Oh, okay.
And, you've always heard that saying, location, 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 when it comes to real estate.
Right.
Well, in the decentralized finance space, your domain name is prime digital real estate.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So we're really breaking down ETH.deal today and why it's causing such a stir.
Absolutely. And you see, owning ETH.deal, it's not just about having a catchy name, which it is.
Right.
It's about positioning yourself right at the heart of the Ethereum ecosystem. It's like setting up shop on the busiest street in a bustling marketplace, except this marketplace is, the future of finance.
Now, for our listeners who are blockchain entrepreneurs, fintech startups and investors out there, what are the immediate implications of that?
Well, just
What does
imagine
it actually offer?
Imagine you're building a platform for negotiating and executing smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain,
Sure.
where better to house that platform than on ETH.deal.
I mean,
The domain name itself instantly communicates what you do and where you do it.
so instead of some long, complicated URL,
Yeah.
you've got this clean, memorable address that lets everyone know you're serious about blockchain technology. It's like having Ethereum woven into the fabric of your brand.
Exactly, and it goes beyond just a website address. It becomes a symbol of trust and credibility. And in a space that's evolving so rapidly, having that instant recognition is invaluable.
It really signals to potential investors and collaborators that you're not just dipping your toes in the water here, you are diving headfirst into the Ethereum ecosystem.
Precisely, and that can make all the difference when you're trying to attract funding partnerships or even top talent.
Right.
People want to be a part of something that feels established and forward-thinking.
Okay, so we talked about how ETH.deal signifies this commitment to the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah.
But let's get even more specific.
Sure.
How does this domain actually play into facilitating deals and contracts on the Ethereum network?
Okay.
What does that look like in practice? Because
Yeah.
we've talked about what it signifies, but how does it actually work?
Right. Think of it like this ETH.deal is almost like a digital handshake for every transaction made on your platform.
Okay.
So let's say you're building a decentralized exchange for trading Ethereum-based tokens, right?
Right.
Having ETH.deal as your domain instantly signals to users that they're in the right place for secure and efficient trading within the Ethereum ecosystem.
It's not just about attracting users then, it's about guiding them to the specific functionality they're looking for.
100%.
You're saying, this is where you do this specific thing.
Exactly.
And that in turn, streamlines the user experience, but I imagine it also builds that confidence in your platform from the get-go.
Without a doubt. And this clarity is crucial in the world of smart contracts when you're dealing with, self-executing agreements on the blockchain.
Right.
Transparency and ease of use are absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
And ETH.deal reinforces those principles right from the domain level.
And you mentioned DAOs earlier. And for our listeners who might not be as familiar with that term, can you explain how ETH.deal could be relevant in the context of decentralized autonomous organizations?
Sure. So a DAO is essentially an organization run by code,
Okay.
governed by a set of predefined rules on the blockchain.
Right.
Now imagine launching a DAO dedicated to funding innovative DeFi projects.
Okay.
Housing that DAO on ETH.deal instantly aligns it with its core purpose, fostering deals and collaborations within the Ethereum space.
It's almost like, setting up a venture capital firm right on Sand Hill Road.
Exactly.
But for the decentralized world,
Right.
everyone knows what you're about from the moment they see your address.
And that kind of clarity is crucial for building trust and attracting participants to the DAO. It's about demonstrating transparency and a commitment to the Ethereum community.
So we've talked about a lot of the, practical advantages, but let's not forget the power of a memorable domain name.
Right.
Especially in the world of blockchain, where innovation moves at warp speed.
Yeah.
Standing out is essential.
It really is. And think back to the early days of the internet. When you saw a .com address, you knew it was a website.
Yeah.
It was simple. It was memorable. It became synonymous with being online.
Right.
ETH.deal has that same potential in the blockchain space. It's concise, it's descriptive, it sticks in your mind.
To like those other, niche domains we've seen popping up. Art for artists. .music for musicians.
Right.
They signal a specific focus, a community, a sense of belonging.
Absolutely.
ETH.deal seems to do the same thing for the world of Ethereum-based deals and transactions.
100%. And that sense of community is incredibly powerful, especially in a space that's all about decentralization and collaboration.
Hmm.
ETH.deal has the potential to become a central hub, a digital meeting place for developers, investors, and anyone passionate about building the future of finance on the Ethereum blockchain.
Like a virtual handshake signaling, we're here, we're building, and we're doing it on Ethereum.
Exactly. And that message resonates not just within the Ethereum community, but also with those who are looking to enter the space and want a clear signal of where the action is.
So we've covered the branding,
Mm-hmm.
the user experience, the relevance to DAOs and smart contracts.
Right.
But let's address the elephant in the room here.
Okay.
Some people are hesitant about blockchain domains, arguing that they're too new, too untested.
Hmm.
What would you say to those skeptics out there?
Well, it's true that blockchain domains are still relatively new,
Right.
but so is the internet itself at one point.
That's true.
I think every innovation goes through this period of adoption.
Right.
And for those who recognize the potential early on, the rewards can be significant.
Look at the evolution of domain names in general, right?
Exactly.
In the early days, people questioned the value of a .com address. Now it's unthinkable for a business to operate without one.
Absolutely.
So blockchain domains almost feel like they represent a similar paradigm shift, this move towards, greater ownership, security, and transparency.
Yeah. And ETH.deal being specifically tailored for the Ethereum ecosystem
Right.
could really be at the forefront of that shift.
It's about being ahead of the curve, right? Recognizing a trend before it becomes mainstream.
And let's be honest, in the fast-paced world of blockchain, if you're not early, you're already behind.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up today, it really sounds like, ETH.deal isn't just a domain name, right? It's a strategic asset for anyone who's serious about making a mark in this decentralized future.
I think so.
It's about securing your place in this new digital landscape that's being built on transparency and security and innovation.
It is.
What are your final thoughts for our listeners today?
For me, it boils down to this. If you're a blockchain entrepreneur, a fintech startup, an investor looking to capitalize on the opportunities within the Ethereum ecosystem,
Yeah.
ETH.deal is more than just a domain name. It's a statement. It's a way to stake your claim in a future where deals are made on the blockchain and innovation is limitless.
It's about being part of the evolution of the internet, one decentralized deal at a time. We've given you a lot to consider today about ETH.deal. Its potential as a platform for blockchain innovations, its role in facilitating deals and contracts within the Ethereum ecosystem, and its significance in a world that's rapidly embracing decentralization.
Right.
Now it's your turn. What are your first impressions of ETH.deal? What kind of groundbreaking projects do you envision thriving on this domain? Let us know.